Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
USAID cannot be created or destroyed, only altered, or is that matter? Lara Logan, where do you stand on the USAID story?
Well, I got to be honest, Jamie Raskin is disgusting to me. He is one of the most awful human beings on the face of the earth. He's pathetic. And why do I dislike him so much? Well, because he was one of the chief architects of the persecution and the cover-up following January 6th, who felt nothing to tear apart families and destroy lives and put innocent people behind bars. So I find my skin crawling having to listen to him. But the funny part there is he says that the Congress created USAID for the American people. No, USAID is a foreign aid, international aid agency, right? So it wasn't created for the American people. Most of the American people had very little idea that USAID even existed before this happened. Most of the American people had no idea that their money, their tax dollars, were being taken to fund things like, George Soros's fund to install prosecutors that follow their ideology and that you can see their handiwork in San Francisco, which has been destroyed, New Orleans, which is down the toilet, and so on and so on and so on, right? Most Americans, the majority that voted Donald Trump into power, do not support George Soros or the Open Society Foundations or any of the groups in his affinity network. And so they are shocked to discover that hundreds of millions of dollars of their blood, sweat, and tears is being used to finance things that they regard as basically slitting their own throats. So when Jamie Raskin and these people, they talk about oversight, they didn't do any oversight of USAID. In fact, what USAID did was bypass Congress. They bypassed oversight. And they created the power unconstitutionally and against the law. They created the power for these satellite offices of USAID that was spread all over the world to completely bypass everyone and get money directly. You know what really irks me, Russell, is I have to say this. People are very cavalier about American tax dollars. I am not. Because I live in a beautiful tourist town in one of the wealthiest counties in Texas. And the vast majority of people living here do not take a vacation because they can't afford it. Most of the kids that come to my house, and there's 20 or 30 of them every weekend, have never been on an airplane. And it's not because, as many Europeans think, they're a bunch of ignorant Americans who don't give a shit about the rest of the world and think America is so great, I don't need to travel. They can't afford to travel. They can't afford to go outside the borders of the United States. They can't afford to fly from one state to another state. Most of them don't have medical insurance because their families can't afford it. Okay? These, I cannot say it strongly enough. I don't have a fancy house. And a lot of these kids, when they come to my house, they've never seen anything like it. And many of these kids are white. Some of them are Hispanic. I live in a mostly white town. I'm not going to apologize for it. It just happens to be the case, But obviously, we have a lot of Hispanic people here. And my kids have lots of Hispanic friends, and so do I. But, this is not a Hispanic, or this is not a racial thing. This is American kids of American parents. Their parents they always work. They often work more than one job, and they live just to survive and exist. They can get by if they don't ever get sick, and they don't ever need to see a doctor, or they don't ever get hurt. But if anything goes wrong, they're in real, real trouble. These people, it's their tax dollars. It's their blood and their sweat and their tears and their sacrifices. They have been denigrated. They've been dismissed. They've been disregarded. They have been targeted. They're treated like they're absolutely worthless. Until when? until somebody wants to, they want their tax dollars to pay for my kid. I'm some elite person in Washington, D.C., but somehow I don't think my kid should have this tax burden, this burden of their fees from college. So the American taxpayer can just pay for it. The American taxpayer can finance, let me see, trans operas in Serbia. Do you know that program was $50 million they were funneling into LGBTQ causes outside of congressional oversight into Serbia? You know, the kind of things that they have been financing, it's not just these outrageous programs overseas in foreign countries. It's not just that you're paying for children in foreign countries to get scholarships and to go to university, but you're not doing that for American kids. It's not just that Americans don't believe in many of these things. It's that what you've done is you have taken the United States government and you've used it as a slush fund to finance an ideology that is profound, that ultimately is the death of everything that these people who are paying for it actually believe in. And you've done it in darkness. You've hidden what you're doing from the American people. And so any person who's standing up now and says, oh, how dare Elon Musk do this, and how dare we have to stop this tyranny, and we need oversight, we need to know what they're doing. It's incredible to me. As usual, they never want to address the substance of what you're dealing with. And of course, what they also don't want to address is that the president, through his executive order, when you are violating the law, as the USAID has been doing, they've been violating the law over and over again. They've been money laundering to all these affinity groups and all these NGOs, and they have been pushing this through. They've been stealing from the American people, and also that they can keep these people subjugated. Americans are very giving people. You only have to look at philanthropic rates to know they don't like people to suffer, and they're willing to help. But no one's been helping them. The quality of their life has been going down and down and down. Almost none of the kids that I know had Christmas. One of the kids I know, he got socks and T-shirts, a couple of them. 3 pairs of socks, 3 T-shirts for Christmas. A lot of these families can't afford Thanksgiving. They can't afford to buy a Thanksgiving turkey. They can't afford to travel, to be together. This is standard for people all across America today. I don't think that any of these people want innocent people to suffer. But when you find out that less than 10% of the money that is supposedly been going to help poor people or people in need in foreign countries has actually been reaching those people, when you find out that Angelina Jolie and Sean Penn, these people were paid millions of dollars in taxpayer money by USAID to take trips to Ukraine, so they could do photo ops that could justify hundreds of millions more dollars going to finance a war that nobody believes in, that is absolutely unwinnable, that is costing lives on a daily basis. I mean, it's unconscionable what has been done. And for the Democrats to focus on Elon Musk and to go there with their stupid little pathetic posse. And by the way, it's not just Democrats who have benefited from this system. There is a plethora of Republicans whose hands are as dirty as every single one of those small little people that stood and waited there and staged their protest and went out there. So this is not, I'm not painting this as a partisan thing. They just chose to stand on the wrong side of history. Elon Musk has been given legal authorities by Donald Trump. I haven't, read every contract. All I'm going to say is the Trump administration learned its lesson the last time around. When they were every single thing that they were trying to do was being attacked by this, the other part of this affinity groups who go after them with lawfare and try and shut them down with legal actions. They learned their lesson from that, and they were a lot more careful this time. It doesn't mean that they're foolproof, but they knew what they were doing, and they're making sure that they act with legal authority every step of the way.